Welcome to Mortgage Solutions TV. I'm reporter Simret Samra, and I'm joined by Director of Enness Private Clients, Hugh Wade Jones. Thank you for joining me, Hugh.
No problems.
In the latest MMR proposals, the regulator proposed that high net worth clients do not need advised sales and should be exempt from restrictions on interest-only loans. Should that happen? And wouldn't a one-size-fits-all policy work better to help protect consumers in regards to irresponsible lending?
I think we're not saying that people shouldn't seek advice, and certainly I'd always say in the first instance you should speak to a specialist. I think what the MMR is proposing and what we're agreeing with is that in certain situations the standard guidelines that have been set out by the FCA are just not going to be suitable for individuals. Typically on the high net worth side, the lending is done as much against the client's overall profile and their overall wealth and assets in the background as your standard loan to values, income multiples. So in those circumstances it's just not practical that a client look to borrow within those guidelines, and if they're allowed to make themselves exempt and go down a more suitable and a cheaper route, then that's going to be better for everyone.
Are there any tricks that the regulator has missed in the latest MMR proposals?
I don't think they've missed anything, and we've really welcomed them because for the first time it's sort of acknowledged the high net worth sector as a sort of category unto its own, which is fantastic. What I do think there's a little grey area on is what is deemed as a high net worth individual. In the proposals they've listed that as someone earning over £1 million a year or assets over 5 million. I think on the income side of things it's very difficult to judge. A lot of clients' income is going to be very difficult to trace fully, and also maybe someone who's working for their own company may not draw a dividend for a number of years if they have significant wealth elsewhere. On the asset side, I'd say clients who've inherited wealth or who maybe have sat in properties that are now increased in value massively are not going to be particularly financially sophisticated, but according to their own guidelines are going to be able to be exempt. I think probably what would be better if there is a sort of list of guides and people, the banks and advisors themselves can deem whether someone falls within this category or would be suitable.
Okay. How is the high net worth market performing at the moment?
It's absolutely flying, to be honest, which is great news for ourselves. And I think Kensington and Chelsea went up about 14% in the last year, and where I live in Hampstead went up 10%. I think there's a lot of talk of that being foreign investors and foreign money solely. Obviously, it has a large impact on it, but also there's a large number of sort of people within Britain who are now a bit more confidence has returned, and those people are starting to buy and move as well.
Okay. You said one of your goals for this year is to increase your average loan size from $1.5 million to $2 million. How are you attempting to do this?
Well, so far so good. We've had an absolutely cracking first quarter. What we're looking to do is chase a bit more of the money that is coming from overseas. So I've spent some time with wealth managers, family offices overseas. Recently spent some time over in Jersey and Guernsey, which has been very useful. And also looking clients further afield in the Middle East and Asia and making some links with companies out there who can work as well.
Okay. What key tips can you offer brokers who are interested in the high net worth market?
I think typically what I say is look at a client's overall wealth and the services that it require on a wider scale rather than simply their mortgage offering. There are your more standard sort of Barclays Wealth and RBS private style banks who will be more attractive than the guys you find on Trigold, but undoubtedly will be undercut, not only in terms of rate but the kind of overall offering of services that they can give. So I would certainly look at that and try and work within those boundaries.
Okay. What lenders are helping high net worth brokers on their day-to-day business?
I'm finding at the moment a lot of the overseas banks are undercutting pretty much everyone on the high street in the UK and a lot of the UK private banks. And also they're being a lot more aggressive in the fiduciary services that they can offer as well. What I would say is typically I would advise that someone look for themselves. If they can try and place it, that's great, but also please don't try and risk sort of undoing thousands of pounds and years of trust planning or tax planning for a client, and also speak to specialists like ourselves who can potentially look into something and give you a very quick answer on whether something more suitable is going to be available.
Thank you, Hugh.
No problem.
You've been watching Mortgage Solutions.